Assalamu alaikum. In today's lecture, we will discuss the fate of amino acid skeletons of the remaining amino acids. You see, 5 amino acids, they are ultimately converted to form the alpha ketoglutarate. These are proline, glutamate, glutamine, arginine, and histidine. These amino acids are also called the family of glutamate. These are all the glutamate family members. So ultimately in their metabolism, what we get is glutamate, and glutamate which is ultimately that is converted between of transaminase enzymes into alpha ketoglutarate. You see, glutamine is converted to glutamate and ammonia by enzyme glutaminase. Glutamate is converted to alpha ketoglutarate by transamination and through oxidative deamination by glutamate dehydrogenase. This is the property of glutamate dehydrogenase, that it acts both for the formation of glutamate as well as for the conversion of glutamate into alpha ketoglutarate. Then it is proline. This amino acid is oxidized to glutamate, as they are all the family members of glutamate. So in their amino acid skeleton metabolism, they all converge to form glutamate. Then it is arginine. This amino acid is cleaved by arginase, which is exclusively present in hepatocytes, to produce ornithine. This reaction occurs primarily in the liver as a part of urea cycle. You recall the urea cycle, the last step in the hepatocyte, in the cytosol, was the cleavage of this arginine, which is a 4 amino group containing compound. It is split into 2 compounds. Those were one is urea and the other was ornithine. So both of these ornithine and urea, they are having 2 amino groups each. Ornithine that enters the urea cycle once again, providing the shuttle-like service. This reaction occurs primarily in the liver as a part of the urea cycle. Ornithine is subsequently converted to alpha ketoglutarate. Histidine is also going to form in its metabolism alpha ketoglutarate. This amino acid is oxidatively deaminated by histidase to urocanic acid. You see here, this is a histidine amino acid which is being acted upon by this enzyme histidase, and it is converted into urocanic acid. Urocanic acid, while passing through the 4 steps, that is converted into N-formimino-glutamate, which is also abbreviated as FIGLU. FIGLU stands for formimino-glutamic acid or formimino-glutamate. So formimino-glutamate, this formimino group, that formimino group is donated to tetrahydrofolate, and tetrahydrofolate itself, it becomes 5-formimino tetrahydrofolate. So after getting this formimino group, it is converted into formimino tetrahydrofolate. The remaining structure after donating formimino group it becomes glutamate. And glutamate, after the activity of transaminase enzyme, it is converted into alpha ketoglutarate. So here you see histidine is ultimately by the series of steps is converted into glutamate. So this is also a member of glutamate family. Figlu donates its formamino group to tetrahydrofolate, leaving glutamate. This is a glutamate which is degraded to alpha ketoglutarate. Now this is a chart showing how all these 5 amino acids they are converted into alpha ketoglutarate initially by forming glutamate. So all these 5 amino acids, proline, glutamine, arginine, histidine and glutamate itself, they are ultimately converted into alpha ketoglutarate. Now you see here the proline skeleton structure, its metabolism. It is first converted into pyrroline carboxylate. And then into glutamate gamma semialdehyde. This is a reversible reaction. So here, after passing through the first stage of pyrroline carboxylate, proline is converted into glutamate gamma semialdehyde. This is its conversion. Then gamma semialdehyde is converted into this glutamate, and then finally by the activity of this glutamate dehydrogenase, it is converted into alpha ketoglutarate. So this is the track of proline, how proline gets converted into alpha ketoglutarate. Then it is this arginine undergoes hydrolysis by the activity of arginase, and it is converted into ornithine. The other other compound we are getting is that is urea. So here you can see this is a 2 amino group containing compound ornithine, which provides the shuttle-like service in urea cycle, enters the mitochondria and completes the cycle. This ornithine, by the activity of this aminotransferase enzyme, it is converted into this glutamate gamma semialdehyde, and by donating its amino group, acceptor is almost always it is alpha ketoglutarate, which is converted into glutamate. So after donating its amino group, it is converted into glutamate gamma semialdehyde. Rest of the track is same. Gamma semialdehyde is converted into glutamate, and glutamate, by the activity of glutamate dehydrogenase, it is converted into alpha ketoglutarate. So this is converted into ornithine, and this gamma semialdehyde, glutamate and alpha ketoglutarate. Now this histidine, while passing through the series of steps, series of reactions, 4 reactions, urocanic acid is formed, and then formamino glutamate is formed, which is Figlu, and here this Figlu donates its formamino group to tetrahydrofolate, and this Figlu is converted into glutamate. and this tetrahydrofolate, it becomes a formimino tetrahydrofolate. So after the glutamate is formed from histidine, it is converted into alpha ketoglutarate. There are 4 amino acids when their skeleton is metabolized, catabolized in our body. Those are converted into succinyl-CoA. So they enter the TCA cycle by forming this succinyl-CoA. These 4 amino acids are methionine, isoleucine, threonine, and valine. We discuss all these, how they enter the TCA cycle through this succinyl-CoA. Now we see in this chart how these 4 amino acid skeleton, that is methionine, threonine, valine, and isoleucine, through their different metabolic routes, they are converted into succinyl-CoA, which enter finally in the TCA citric acid cycle. Now first you see this methionine, which is essential sulfur containing amino acids. It is converted into, through the 3 steps we will discuss later in detail, into homocysteine. Homocysteine, in the structure of homocysteine, serine amino acid, it enters in its metabolic pathway. And in the presence of, this reaction takes place in the presence of vitamin B6, pyridoxal phosphate. And by the activity of lyase enzyme, cysteine is set free in the metabolism of methionine. So we can get cysteine, which is also a sulfur containing amino acid, from methionine. So cysteine becomes nutritionally non-essential. That is why if our diet is deficient in cysteine, there is no problem at all if the diet is having a sufficient amount of methionine. So in short, want to say methionine in its metabolic tract till it forms succinyl-CoA, it delivers cysteine, and after delivering a cysteine, it is converted into alpha ketobutyrate. Alpha ketobutyrate ultimately by the activity of dehydrogenase enzyme is converted into propionyl-CoA. Propionyl-CoA, this is actually the main landmark of all the amino acids metabolic tract. You see, isoleucine is converted into propionyl-CoA, similarly threonine, valine, and methionine. So from propionyl-CoA, this compound is converted into methyl malonyl-CoA through 2 steps. Methyl malonyl-CoA is converted into finally succinyl-CoA, which enters the TCA cycle. So this is the main relay station of all the amino acid metabolic tract. These 4 amino acid tracts, they all converge to form propionyl-CoA. Now this isoleucine, you see isoleucine is both ketogenic as well as glucogenic. So any amino acid is going to form this succinyl-CoA. It is the glucogenic property of isoleucine. So in its metabolism, it is going to form succinyl-CoA, while it also forms acetyl-CoA. So formation of acetyl-CoA is ketogenic property of isoleucine. Through different steps, it is converted into propionyl CoA. And similarly valine after passing through a series of 7 steps, it is converted into propionyl CoA, which ultimately going to form succinyl CoA. Now this threonine in its metabolic pathway, it also produces pyruvate. So by the activity of dehydratase enzyme, threonine dehydratase enzyme, what happens? Ammonia oxidatively deaminated from threonine with the release of water. What we get? Alpha ketobutyrate. So threonine is converted into alpha ketobutyrate, and finally by the activity of dehydrogenase enzyme, rest of the track is same as for it is related with the methionine. So alpha ketobutyrate, then propionyl CoA, then methyl malonyl CoA, and ultimately succinyl CoA. Now these valine and isoleucine, these amino acids are branch chain amino acids that generate propionyl CoA, which is converted into succinyl CoA by biotin and vitamin B12. In the presence of these prerequisite for the reactions, ultimately propionyl CoA is generated. Threonine, this amino acid is dehydrated to alpha ketobutyrate, which is converted to propionyl CoA and then to succinyl CoA. Threonine can also be converted into pyruvate. Now here I would like to discuss the clinical significance of methionine. This is also important for your examination point of view. Methionine, which is a sulfur containing essential amino acid, this is the structure of methionine. This group is this is called labile methyl group. It is being donated in its metabolism. I will tell you later. Methionine, with the addition of adenosine nucleotide, it becomes S-adenosyl methionine. We also abbreviate it as SAM, S-A-M. So it means S-adenosyl methionine. This is actually the active form of methionine. After adenosine is added, methionine becomes active to donate its methyl group. The methyl group which is being donated to any other compound, this is called labile methyl group. Now S-adenosyl methionine, it donates its methyl group, and for example we get epinephrine. While after donating the methyl group, the leftover is S-adenosyl homocysteine. So up to here, addition of adenosine is essential to make the methionine active to donate its methyl group. So after it becomes active with addition of adenosine, it is now ready to donate its methyl group, and itself it is converted into S-adenosyl homocysteine. So now this compound is having adenosine, but if you compare this compound with this one, methyl group is deficient. So simply you can say that there is addition of adenosine in this group and a lack of amino group. This S-adenosyl homocysteine now donates adenosine. After giving back the adenosine, S-adenosyl homocysteine is converted into homocysteine. Now the only difference between homocysteine and methionine is the difference of amino group. If you add amino group to this homocysteine, it will become methionine. Now homocysteine, in the presence of cystathionine synthase, it is converted into cystathionine. This step has got a great importance. Vitamin B6 is required for this conversion, pyridoxal phosphate, and cystathionine ultimately is converted into alpha ketobutyrate, and cysteine here is now delivered. At this point, sulfur containing non-essential amino acid we get. So cystathionine is converted into two compounds, cysteine and alpha ketobutyrate. Alpha ketobutyrate is converted into propionyl CoA, which is finally converted into succinyl CoA. Now here you see, I told you the only difference between methionine and homocysteine is the lack of amino group in homocysteine. If you add amino group to this homocysteine, it will become methionine, and it happens in our body. Whenever our body needs methionine, from here homocysteine gets methyl group from tetrahydrofolate, and it is converted into methionine. This tetrahydrofolate, beta 12, vitamin B12 is the requirement of this step. Transferase is enzyme, homocysteine methyl transferase. So this enzyme add methyl group to homocysteine, and homocysteine it becomes methionine. This is very important route, especially in a condition I tell you later. Now you see, homocysteine, important step, it is converted into cystathionine by this enzyme. Now if genetically there is less activity, or the activity of cystathionine synthase is lost, what will happen? This conversion of homocysteine into cystathionine will be blocked, and the condition, because there will be excessive accumulation of homocysteine, and homocysteine is water soluble, it will leave the body in the urine, and there will be excessive homocysteine in the urine. The condition is called this homocystinuria. Homocystinuria is the condition, a clinical condition due to the genetic deficiency of this enzyme, cystathionine synthase. Homocystinuria, the disease in which the different characteristic features are deep vein thrombosis, stroke, atherosclerosis, mental retardation, and joint contractures. Homocystinuria, excessive homocysteine in the blood. Now it is approved that its high concentration in the blood, it is related with the cardiac diseases. So if this is blocked, what will happen? Homocysteine will be converted back into the methionine by the activity of transfer enzyme and in the presence of vitamin B12 and methyl tetrahydrofolate. So methyl group is donated and it again becomes methionine. So this is important track for the synthesis of cysteine, for the resynthesis of methionine, for homocystinuria, and ultimately at that whole track of methionine is converted into succinyl CoA, and that enters into the TCA cycle. This is homos. Now here this slide is showing that excessive homocysteine in the blood is independent factor related with the vascular disease. You see, there are so many other factors like oxidative damage, inflammation, and endothelial dysfunction. They are independent factors for occlusive vascular disease. So this much is increased level of homocysteine in the blood is independent risk factor for vascular or heart diseases. Another factor which is related with the level of homocysteine in the blood is the presence of these coenzymes. Plasma homocysteine levels are inversely related to the plasma levels of folate, folic acid, vitamin B12 and vitamin B6. Let me tell you, homocysteine is converted back into methionine by the addition of methyl group. I told you in the last slide, whenever it is required to rebuild methionine in the presence of this vitamin B12, in the presence of transferase enzyme, folate donates its methyl group and homocysteine is converted back into methionine. So if these are deficient, folate is not there, vitamin B12 is not there, so what will happen? Homocysteine will not be converted into methionine, so their level will rise. That is why these are inversely related with the level of homocysteine. Less the concentrations of folate B12, more will be the presence of homocysteine in the blood, and reverse in the opposite direction. If folate and vitamin B12 are excessive in a sufficient amount, homocysteine level will come down as homocysteine is converted back into methionine. Similarly, you see, I showed you the last slide where homocysteine is converted into cystathionine, and that step, the down track of methionine metabolism, homocysteine is converted into cystathionine, and this reaction requires vitamin B6. So again, if vitamin B6 is deficient, pyridoxal phosphate, what will happen? There will be less conversion of homocysteine into cystathionine. So it is also reversibly related. Vitamin B6, if it is less, there will be high homocysteine level in the blood. So that is why we say that plasma homocysteine levels are inversely related to plasma levels of folate, B12. These two are required for its conversion into methionine, and vitamin B6, which is required for the conversion of homocysteine into cystathionine. The three vitamins involved in the conversion of homocysteine to methionine or downtrack to cysteine or through cystathionine. Now there are two amino acids. They form a fumarate to get its entry into the citric acid cycle. These are two enzymes, phenylalanine and tyrosine. Phenylalanine is absolutely essential amino acid, and tyrosine is nutritionally non-essential amino acid, because our body can get tyrosine in sufficient amount from phenylalanine, provided the phenylalanine is present in a required quantity in our diet. So immediately phenylalanine, just by the addition of hydroxyl group, it is converted into tyrosine. Here you can see phenylalanine, by the activity of hydroxylase enzyme, it is converted into tyrosine, and the coenzyme is tetrahydrobiopterin. Tetrahydrobiopterin, it is very much similar to tetrahydrofolate. It provides a reducing equivalence to this reaction, and it itself is converted into dihydrobiopterin. Dihydrobiopterin regenerate tetrahydrobiopterin by getting the reducing equivalents from NADPH, and NADPH, from where it is coming, our body gets NADPH from HMP shunt. So HMP shunt through NADPH, it converts this dihydrobiopterin back into tetrahydrobiopterin, ready to donate its reducing equivalents in any other situation. So phenylalanine is converted into tyrosine, and ultimately tyrosine, while passing through the series of long steps we will discuss when we study the metabolism of individual amino acids, this tyrosine is converted into either fumarate or acetoacetate. So this property of forming acetoacetate is a ketogenic property, and this forming a fumarate is a glucogenic property. Now fumarate enters finally into the TCA cycle, and this is the whole fate how these two amino acids, they enter the citric acid cycle through fumarate. So both these amino acids, phenylalanine and tyrosine, they have ketogenic as well as glucogenic property. The rest of the detail we will study, where tyrosine is forming diversity of function. It is going to form different essential molecules or compounds in our body. So all the functions of tyrosine which is forming in our body, that credit ultimately it goes to phenylalanine. So every function of the tyrosine is actually the function of phenylalanine. Phenylalanine and tyrosine are both glucogenic and ketogenic. Inherited deficiencies in the enzymes of phenylalanine and tyrosine metabolism lead to the diseases phenylketonuria, alkaptonuria, and albinism. We will discuss in detail when we study the diseases of protein metabolism. Now here are three amino acids which are not straight chain amino acids, they are branched chain amino acids. These are leucine, isoleucine, and valine. Remember the name. The distinct property of these three amino acids is that you see, after the amino acids are absorbed from the enterocytes into the portal circulation, from there the amino acids enter the liver, where they are metabolized. Except these three amino acids, leucine, isoleucine, and valine, they bypass the liver, they rather enter the general circulation. So their metabolism does not start in the liver but in the muscles. So this is a distinct property of these branched chain amino acids to be metabolized in muscles. Initially, steps are similar for all the three amino acids, branched chain amino acids. Let me give you the detail of these steps. Now you see here, These are the branched chain amino acids: valine, isoleucine, and leucine. The very initial step, these two are very much similar in all the cases. All the three amino acids in the first step, they are being acted upon by aminotransferases, and we get the keto acids of the respective amino acids. And you know, the amino group acceptor is alpha ketoglutarate, which is converted into glutamate. These metabolisms of the amino acids, branched chain amino acids, does it start in the liver? No, not at all. Remember, it is taking place in the muscle, in the muscles, adipose tissues, kidney, and brain. Now, the first step is similar. By the activity of aminotransferase, they are converted into their respective keto acids. These keto acids are acted upon by NAD dependent dehydrogenase complex, and they all are converted into their CoA derivatives, the respective CoA derivatives of these branched chain amino acids. So this step is same, transamination. Dehydrogenase enzyme is the same with the release of this CO2. Now, if this NAD dependent dehydrogenase enzyme is deficient, so what will happen? All the keto acids of the respective amino acids, they won't be converted to their acyl CoA derivatives, their CoA derivatives. So there will be excessive accumulation of keto acids. So this condition we will discuss when we study the diseases of the protein metabolism in detail. When the cause is here, the deficiency of dehydrogenase complex, the condition called maple syrup urine disease. Now here in this slide you can see the three amino acids, leucine, valine, and isoleucine. The initial step is same, that is transamination. All the three amino acids undergo transamination in the presence of vitamin B6, and they are converted into their respective alpha keto acids. These alpha keto acids, they are being acted upon by NAD dependent dehydrogenase system, and CO2 is, they all alpha keto acids are oxidatively decarboxylated. So with the release of CO2, they are converted in the presence of this dehydrogenase complex, which requires 5 coenzymes: NAD, CoA, lipoic acid, TPP, and FAD. This is thiamine pyrophosphate. So in the presence of a dehydrogenase complex, in the presence of these 5 coenzymes, these alpha keto acids, they are converted into their CoA derivatives of the respective amino acids. So up till here, you see, the steps are same. They are being acted upon by the same enzymes. And then there is FAD linked dehydrogenation. This was NAD linked dehydrogenation. Now it is FAD linked dehydrogenation, and it will discriminate the metabolic pathways of these three amino acids, they converge now in a different directions. This valine, as you know, it is only the glucogenic amino acid. After the function of dehydrogenase system, FAD linked, it is converted into propionyl CoA. This isobutyryl CoA is converted into propionyl CoA, then methylmalonyl CoA, and ultimately succinyl CoA. This is valine, and now this is isoleucine. Isoleucine is ketogenic as well as glucogenic, while leucine is only ketogenic. So it has got both the properties. While passing through the initial same stages, same steps, same enzymes, here their CoA derivatives, they converge either to form succinyl CoA, that is its gluconic property, or it is converted into acetyl CoA, which is ketogenic property. Now it's isoleucine, valine and leucine ultimately yields acetyl CoA. This is isoleucine and succinyl CoA, rendering it both ketogenic and glucogenic amino acid. Valine yields only succinyl CoA, so it is exclusively glucogenic amino acid. Leucine is ketogenic, being metabolized to acetoacetate and acetyl CoA. So leucine is only ketogenic, valine is a glucogenic, and isoleucine is both glucogenic and ketogenic. Thank you very much for today's lecture. Inshallah, we will start with a new lecture regarding metabolisms of individual amino acids, and after that finally we will discuss in our last lectures the diseases related with the different amino acid metabolisms or regarding protein metabolism. Thank you very much. Thank you. Stay safe and stay blessed.